My black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black and white, yeah, it's black and white, we're just black and white, it's my black and white, it's my black and white scarf. My black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black and white, yeah, it's black and white, we're just black and white, it's my black and white, it's my black and white scarf.
The sooner Chris Clark comes back and takes over the production of this podcast, the easier it is. My buttons were not, everything get frozen, mouse was frozen, there's better signal in Chicago. Pingu, welcome to the Town End podcast.
What's the crack? You all right there?
Not too bad. We're not too bad. I'm not going to. I've even lost the background of what happened. I don't know
Don't
what's
worry
going
about
on.
it. Just leave it be.
Pingu, before we even get into your introduction, we're going to welcome back an absolute legend of the podcast, a guest, a blogger. He's not related to Tom Hanks. He's Mr. Donald Hanks. Long time no see, brother. How are you keeping? You've jumped in at the right time. We're just had a bit of a run now, so we're just going to get stuck into it straight away. What do we think, Donald, of the season so far? We'll just get stuck straight into the game.
What
of the season so far, I don't mind tonight's match.
Well, look, there's not a whole lot to talk about tonight's match. The pitch deserves a mention. The commentators deserve a mention. Leo Gaxa deserves a mention. The start of the season, the start of the season has been flawless apart from a couple of minutes against 3D. So, kept that up tonight. Good results everywhere else. So we're in good nick. And to be honest, like I said, there's not really a huge amount to talk about the game. So I'll be reminiscing on some of the fantastic commentary, and also I just need to make sure I get this right because I looked this up. So and also just someone apologize.
Lads, this is going by itself. I haven't touched any. Clark has definitely working miracles here from Weaver's Park. I literally haven't touched anything. So that's coming back on Spotify and you can hear that music. I don't know what that is. But
God, you're putting a 30-second timer on that.
Whatever Chris is
I was getting like my Oscar speech was getting timed out. I had to get off the stage. So as I was saying, I have to apologize to anybody who thought they were going to get through the whole season, but I haven't listened to my nonsense. But I looked up agrostology is the study of grass and how to grow grass. And I'd imagine UCD have enough funding to give somebody half a term to go and figure out how to grow that pitch back.
Yeah,
but
it's a real, and I understand, look, at certain times of the year, pitch can be bad, but I mean, you're talking, we're 6 weeks into the season, are we? And it's not even bad. It's not even a bad repair job. It's just it's almost like lack of any kind of preparation. Like I'd be interested to know. Cheers, Mark. There's absolutely no need. The worry thing I have for a pitch like that is, and I don't want to get bogged down with the pitch, but if just like they've just thrown sand on it and just said, look, something will happen eventually. It'll dry out. Even if you look at the sideline, I know there's a bit of rugby played on it, but it's a real shocker to be. We're in April now, to have a pitch that looks like that kind of 6-7 games into the season. It doesn't bode well. And we've some net given it with the Oriel Park suffers, but that never got going, Pingo. It's an absolute shocker to have that. I mean, you'd have to wonder if it was a Premier Division game, would it get the go ahead? Would a referee allow it to go?
Yeah, the only thing that'd make this pod any better right now is if the coverage in Chicago goes. But yeah, no, it was honestly, I was quite surprised after seeing it that the game actually went ahead. You know, I think it was that bad. Like the Belfield Bowl has always been a bad pitch in the first half of the season. I think in another Dundalk group chat I said that, like, you know, and then by the midsummer it's probably the best pitch in the league. So, but this is the worst I've ever seen it. I mean, there was absolutely no football from either side played at any point in tonight's match. There was attempts to play it, but the sand was actually holding the ball up on some of the passes that were being played across. And I mean, if you're playing in the NEFL there with Glenn Muir, if you're Steph McKevitt or something like that, like, you're going mad at the state of that pitch. And then this is the professional league, and it's been allowed is nuts, you know. And
Steph's slow enough without the ball being running slow on the sand as well. You don't want to make it twice as much. You know what I mean?
He'll not like that one, really.
he's not here, so I'll see what I like. But anyway, look with the start of this podcast, I can pretty much get away with what I like because there's no background or nothing on this. But as we get into the game as such, I mean, I was looking at, even if you look at the Twitter feed of the Dog tonight, normally it's a bit of a live, there's a bit of activity on it, but I think it's actually kickoff goes up on the Twitter feed, and then 24 minutes is actually the next bit of information about the game. So that just kind of sums up, you know, maybe the first half, definitely the whole match as a whole in 90 minutes, but definitely the first half is, like, I listened to John Murphy as well, and it was almost like a non-existent game of football. It was just such a poor, look, you'd like to put it down to the pitch. You think on a good surface, maybe in Oriel Park, you'd have to be forced to play the ball because it's going to move so quick, but it was just such a slow game. There's like literally nothing happening at all. I mean, that's probably happened one or two first half of the games this season, but tonight was just a real, not a damn squib, but it's look, at the end of the day, we've gotten 3 points, but it's a real kind of, like, for us to come on here and attempt to even chat, like, we wing it most of the times, nobody listens to us, but to come on and attempt to analyse that on that kind of surface, you couldn't even get a passing game going, Donald. It was just a non-advertisement for League of Ireland football.
Yeah, it was a tough watch, but this is going to be the first time we mentioned the commentators. That's the commentators saying that's the best 45 minutes of football that they've seen all season in the first half. So UCD's matches must be really poor. But it is hard to know. Like, you know, you wonder how good UCD actually are. Like, we know how good we are because we've obviously been watching this every week. But it's hard to know whether, like, UCD would have, you know, made it difficult for us on a proper football pitch. So, like, we'll see, you know, obviously, like Pingu said, we'll see later in the season, the pitch usually improves, but it's also, second mention of the commentators is that's so I don't know what you guys think. I had the LOI TV on, it skipped a bit, you know, and kept reverting back like 30 seconds.
It was showing last week's match and skipped that bit.
But then at the same time, I opened Live Score and LOI TV have been skipping, but it was still 2 minutes ahead, like, of Live Score. So I don't know how. There was just some weird things going on. But the only bit of commentary I heard in the first half, because I just refused to turn it on for the first 45 minutes, was that Dundalk won't be used to playing in the Belfield Bowl, which is a statement in itself. And I thought he must mean the pitch, you know, because it's not, we don't normally play on like a barely watered desert. But he meant that the pitch is big. Yeah, that it's the biggest pitch that commentators ever played on. So it's going to be tough for Dundalk to get used to it. So, like, it's just, you knew as soon as the game started, this is just like, get your goal and get out, get 3 points, go home, and get ready for the next game. So they got the job done in tough circumstances.
And even with the commentary and pitch aside, you know, UCD should be used to playing on a Pingu at least, if nothing else. And they just look like they were as lost as everybody else in the Dundalk jersey.
Yeah, I think they're also hoping to get out of it. You know, get out for the 4 weeks and help it just is it regeneration? Is it, or whatever it is for the pitch? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, look, that pitch didn't suit anybody, like either team for it. As I say, I think they're probably are a little bit more used to it. Like, they were just kind of going along the whole time and hoping for the best. which brings to the second point of the commentator of the night. I don't know. It's a pity Donald's not on for this part, but they talked about the striker. I think it was Jake Doyle or Jamie Doyle or something like that was the name of the striker, and they mentioned that he was the best striker between both divisions at holding the ball up, and any team would be lucky to get him. But then they also said he's a little bit goal shy and he's shot shy this season. but he's the best striker in the league, Premier or fucking First Division. So there was that. But yeah, I think they were probably more prepared for the pitch. I think we, in the first half, you could see there was times we were trying to play passes, trying to get it down. It was just it seemed like then the ball, a zipped pass was taken 5-10 seconds because it just kept getting trapped in the sand. And I think it wasn't great for either team.
I think even me, or someone like him, who like a ball playing centre back, he had come out, and even O'Keefe at one stage, and the ball almost disappeared from their feet in acres of space because there was just that much of a bobble on the ground. They actually just couldn't control it. Like, Donald, if you're, I think we're talking every week about Dundalk going to have to dig in and dig deep, and if we're going to try and get promotion, and look, you'd like to think we're going to be right in amongst it with the likes of Cove and stuff like that. Games like this are just going to have to be one of those nights. Or maybe we'll get 3 or 4 like these nights, but these are nights where you're going to say, right, let's test and resolve. These conditions. I mean, the Irish weather's been great over the last couple of weeks. It's just that pitch is an absolute disgrace. But these are nights that we're just going to have to bed in and say, look, let's try and get like you say, snatch a goal. Let's get these 3 points. And these games will probably be the making of a promotion push later in the year.
Yeah, well, look, it's all about the momentum, isn't it? Like it's the like I was saying, like the couple of minutes against Treaty is the only blip that we've had. Everything else has gone well. So it's building momentum. It's picking up points. Like the one thing, like you'd be a little bit concerned maybe with some of the squad depth and stuff. Like if a couple of players, if the attacking players get injured, would we be able to, replace them? And while we have everybody, while we have our attacking players fit, we've had to juggle defenders and international duty and stuff like that. But while we have everybody, like tonight, we need to make sure that we're picking up points because we don't know what way it's going to work with, injuries or transfer windows or whatever. We could be in a different spot, like in a few months. So these points are really, really important, and you can't take these for granted. Like these are every 3 points is really important. It's a really stupid cliche, but it's true. Like these are the points that will get you promotion. And the one game that you think like, if they had given away a goal at the end and you drew 1-1, you'd be thinking like, the pitch was whatever. It was a rough night. We've had a great start to the season, and you don't really think about those 2 points until later in the year when you're 2 points either in front or behind someone, and it's like, well, that night in the bowl, in the Dust Bowl, that's what got us promoted. So like every single point counts, and these. Like we've been in plenty of title races and stuff in the last number of years. So we know what these wins are like, and we know how important these ones are, and we know that they start early in the season. You tend to think of these ones as being the last few weeks where you're struggling to keep a clean sheet, and it's backs to the wall stuff. But we know it goes the whole season. It isn't just the run in that gets you promoted. It's games early season where you pick up points.
I think that's a great point there, Donald, and that's 2 weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago after the 3D game. I had a chat with Kieran after the game. Well, not after the game, a couple of days after, and he mentioned that at the minute, they're focused on one game at a time, and they're not looking any further beyond that. They're just looking at the next 3 points, and you can kind of see that in how they celebrate. It's not as if, again, I hate reflecting back on the success we've had over the couple of years, but it was almost a given that we were getting 3 points. I don't think it's ever, even tonight, like it wasn't taken as a given. You've seen that a full time, like the bench erupted off the line, to go celebrate with the lads that were on the pitch. So I think that's great. And just on your point as well, Donald, about, not knowing about having if we get injuries and things like that. Like what's crazy is tonight's actually seems like the first night that we had a relatively full squad with the exception of Minogue. Mayo was obviously back in, and probably our best player this season was on the bench. There's no arguments for me about the Keith Ward situation tonight, but to be able to bring Harry Groom off, to be able to off the bench, to be able to bring Owen Kenny off the bench, like that's something we haven't had that luxury, this season. So hopefully, again, on a pitch like that, you'd be a little bit concerned, before the match, like, is someone going to pick up a knock? And I think everyone got through it unscathed, which is obviously bodes well for next week's game.
And it brings back, alluded to Killer there, and it's a lot of managers come out and say, oh, it's the next game, we're always thinking the next game. Most of the time it's kind of, they're not really thinking the next game, they probably have 10 games. But it really seems like we keep talking about the mentality of this team. They seem to be, I know, look, we're 8 games in, but I think we're just 7 points up. Wexford beat Cove tonight, Brave beating Athlone. So, it's behind us, it's nice and tight, but I mean, we're kind of creating a little bit of a gap there. But I definitely agree with it. It is one game. I think they celebrated the same against, I think it was, we were down at Treaty as well. Was it that game got a massive celebration, which they all do.
Kerry.
It was Kerry. Sorry, going, yeah. So even tonight, then you've got that celebration again. So you're probably hit the money there. They're definitely taking one game time, but that mentality that they've brought, don't get ahead of yourself. Just because you come down from the Premier Division, you have that history, and you're not entitled to games here. You got to go and earn them. And tonight, I don't think when we come up against a worse pitch all season, like Donald says, maybe later in the year, yeah, but at the minute you probably won't. But that's the mentality that they've brought to this. We keep going with what Ken and Killer have brought to this, but that kind of seems to be that attitude of come off the bench, do your bit, we get the win, we celebrate, and then we go again for next week.
Yeah, it is. Sorry, go ahead, Donald.
No, you go ahead, Fingal. Go.
No, I was just going to say it's a workers' team. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's any game where, maybe one game this season where we actually think we played really, really well, like, and played attractive football. And that's no disrespect to the players that are on the pitch or anything, but it just feels at the minute like we're just working our arse off. Like, every player on the pitch is working their arse off to get that win. And to your point, Gally, like, the lads that are coming off the bench, they're not just strolling around the pitch. Like, they're working twice as hard nearly to make up for the tired bodies that are out there. And that just sums up, like, that seems to be the mentality right now. Is we're all in this together, we're all getting through it together. Nobody wants to make a mistake, but there's also not a fear. Sometimes there's that fear of making a mistake in the team, but there doesn't seem to be that. Like, it seems like if I make a mistake, well, I've got someone beside me who's gonna fix it. And you saw that towards the end of the match where another one of Cherry's weekly incidents and goal, and I think it was O'Keefe, started shouting at him, O'Keefe fixed it, but then turned around and had a go at him. But it's great to see it. Like, it's just great to see that mentality among the team. Sorry,
No, I was just going to say, like, we've just that was excellent match analysis. You remind me of a young Alan Hansen. Not when he was a player, just his early punditry work. That was some of my favorite stuff. But just to say, like, when we look at, like, title races and stuff like that, like, that we've been a part of, you can remember, like, there's one of the years that Cork just got red hot at the start of the season, and we're so far ahead of us when we got ourselves together then second half of the season that we just couldn't catch up with them. So, like, that's on the table for us to get the red hot start and get as much distance between us and the teams behind us that someone has to put an incredible run together to catch us. And also at the same time, we've seen teams be given the trophy halfway through the season and then get caught. Yeah. So it just speaks to that thing of, like, all you can do, again, cliches, all you can do is, like, pick yourself up, go for the next game, do everything you're doing, and by all means, you're gaining confidence from every game, but it has to just be, right, the next game is 3 points. The next game is 3 points, and just clock the wins up. And, you see where you are later on in the season. And we're in really good shape when you think of, like Pingu said, that's the first night that everybody's probably been there. And you look at what our back four is. Obviously, we're missing Endham and Ogan goals, but, like, to be able to bring the players off the bench that we did, even just in defence, it bodes really, really well, because that's going to be the bedrock of this promotion push, is just making sure that we don't concede goals, because you're going to have tough games like that tonight, all through the season. Like, we'll have to go back to Fail. Like that's like those kind of games are the games where you need your solid back four, you need your goalkeeper, you need to grind out those results. And the best way to do that is by having a reliable back four, and then to see the back tonight, knowing that there's changes that we can make if someone's tired, if there's injuries and stuff. They look like they have a really solid base, which is, like I said, I think that's one of the most important things in any title race or promotion race. It's just knowing that you can depend on your team to keep a clean sheet or only give up one goal when the chips are down.
Speaking of chips, I'm going to change this as we got best description of the game when the pizza. Since the comments are absolutely flittering in, I'm going to change it to man of the match because we'll just see how we can scrape out a man of the match for this one. So look, obviously the first half is probably a forgetful first half, probably a forgetful game really all in total. But we've gone into the second half. I don't know what you say to a team like that. I mean, they're probably using the pitch as an excuse that we just mentioned, but I'd say Killer and them don't really want to use that mentality of let's blame the pitch. Everybody has to play on it. And to come out in the second half, I used the term loosely that the game it's picked up a little, and eventually Dundalk, that little bit of pressure that we've had, or UCD's lack of maybe experience, or maybe just playing against the level that we are, we get our goal eventually, and it's Leo Gack's a threat nearly on some runs, but never really created anything. But look at, he's taken that. It's a bit of a long, not over the top ball, but a long ball in, a bit of a header on, and he's finished it well. I think it's with the left foot. I haven't seen the replay, but from what I saw, it looks like the left foot, a little bit of a shot. I don't know if the keeper's badly placed on his near post, but look, it's a good finish, and Leo's probably, we're probably expecting him to grab a few of the goals like that all season, aren't we?
Yeah, I think the introduction of Groom and Kenny definitely changed the game a little bit. I think
John Muffy, I should say, was absolutely going mad on the Dundalk FM that they should come off the bench, so he obviously got it. John Muffy nailed it.
But yeah, no, I thought probably wasn't the game that suited Ebby up top. I think he's shown what he can do. Playing with the ball at his feet and that this season and holding it up. But obviously the ball wasn't coming in that way, and we weren't getting close enough to the box. So I think those changes definitely helped change the game. And obviously Groom was the one I think that put the ball into the box. There was a flick on header from. I can't remember who it was at this stage. I was just entranced by the commentators, and then obviously Gag said. But I think it was. I mean, it was a fantastic strike. I mean, it was. It was a great finish, and it's a pity that the League of Ireland on LOI TV only have one angle, because I'd love to have an angle of that from the sideline or from behind the goal or something like that, because it looked like a great finish, and you could maybe argue that the goalkeeper was out of place. Was misplaced or whatever, but I think when a strike comes in that quickly, like what I mean, like you rattled the top of the goal. So I thought it was a great finish, and he's been getting more and more threatening every week, hasn't he, as well?
We mentioned Leo earlier in the first couple of games, because even when we signed him, I think it was one of, not a surprise signing, but I mean it was someone probably a little bit left field, someone who's been at Kerry and Galway and gone over the water as well, but a real exciting talent. I kind of talking about himself, maybe Jad Akiki from last year. Again, exciting talent we didn't probably see the best of. Is that a player now that we're going to be looking at? He seems to start most games. Almost there I mentioned the aforementioned Keith Ward from a couple of weeks ago. We're going to bring up that argument again, but he is that type of player. A ball at his feet, he's electric. You want him on the ball. You want to see him in full flight. He's a real asset to have. For little moments like tonight.
Yeah, and he can play on. He has primarily played right hand side or in the number 10, and I think the thing with him playing on the right, which suits Ebby as well, is because he can get the ball in quick. He doesn't have to cut back on the left. He's able to just swing the ball in, and Ebby knows front post is where he's going when he gets the ball at his feet out there. And I remember thinking we saw him in pre-season and thought this is almost it feels a little bit like a throwback that he's playing on the right hand side and he's right footed and he's able to just bend the ball in, and there's no having to cut back and let the fullback run the outside and get space and stuff. But then he scored last week by doing the exact thing that I thought we probably won't see him do that very much, of on the left hand side and cutting onto his right foot. So he can obviously do a lot, and I think having the variety, you see when when Owen Kenny comes on, he gives you something different running towards goal. that Gax is able to change up what he's doing as well. Like he can play in two or three different positions. So he's very versatile as well as being very skillful. And they're important goals, you know, and big players score important goals like these. And it was a really important one last week to get us off the mark. And then this one's a massive one to get 3 points in a tough game. So players that score important goals are like, they're really hard to find and really should be like appreciated as really important players when they do that. So the signs are good for him, you know. It's still like, forget, like it's still early in the season. He could still get better. Like the lads are still getting used to playing together, you know. So you could see a lot more from later on in the season.
I think he's going to be one of those players, Pingu, that he'll have that knack of being in the right place at the right time. Yes, he's got all the skill going. He's quick, he's fast, he can see a pass. But he seems to be that player that if the strikers aren't off, like you say, Ebby tonight, or maybe an Owen Kenny coming off the bench, if they're not fully at it, that's probably someone they're going to look to that has that little bit of kind of nous to kind of find himself where maybe nobody else might in the game, maybe later on in the game especially. You just get that little gap and you see it before everybody else and just finish like he does tonight. I mean, when you compare to last week's wonder strike as well, he has it from both angles.
Yeah, no, look, I thought tonight very early on and when it was scrappy and, you know, it was hard to get into, I actually, again, I'm giving it out early. He was my man of the match tonight. I think he was the one player who looked like he was going to make things happen. He kind of moved all the way, you know, from right to left at times. And yeah, he popped up in the right place at the right time, but he's that kind of size that you couldn't even see him behind the defenders with the camera angle. So I didn't know who the commentator kings, thankfully they were able to sort it out for us, let us know who scored, but you could barely see him, you know. But he looks a player, like he looks a quality player, and every game I just think he's getting that little bit better, and he's getting that more, like as Donald said there, they're the players you need to appreciate, and I think his importance is kind of shining through more and more. And I think we obviously expect a lot of Daryl Horgan. We expect, I expect a lot of Keith Ward, but Gaxa for me in that kind of midfield three, you know, or that kind of attacking three in around the striker before the striker has probably been our strongest player, you know, and he's become out of those three probably the most important player for me. And that's no slight against Daryl or Keith, but I definitely feel as though Leo's just becoming that player that's just vitally important for us.
I definitely think that later in the season, I'm not going to take everybody else. Later in the season, you're going to need players like you just alluded to there, Dolan, as well. The lads have signed a squad where you almost have, you know, they're interchangeable. I think we've mentioned a couple of times, you've almost got players that can play 2 or 3 positions across the park. And that's what they've kind of done here. They've kind of built the squad, albeit, look, they might have a better budget than most of the teams in the league. But the lads have really built a squad that, you know, they're there to challenge. They're obviously there, you know, they don't expect to go up straight away. They don't expect to win anything. You have to earn it. But they've really signed a team that even on nights like tonight, even if we're not at our best, and we probably haven't hit fifth gear at all this season yet. We're only going to get better, as we said earlier. But the lads have really signed a squad that in any given day, on touch wood, and there's not too many injuries, but even if there was, we can cope. We seem to be able to have that kind of, players want to play. They don't mind where they're playing. They're willing to play for that badge, and that's all you can want for, especially in a promotion push for the year 2025. Like,
yeah, and look, it shouldn't really be overlooked. Like people talk about the budget and stuff and like how much we're spending on players, but that doesn't matter unless all of the lads buy in and all of the lads give as much effort as they're given, because we know there's, you know, we're a first division club, so you know we're not going to have the greatest set of players. You know, it's not going to be like the Europa League level of players that we had, you know, so the lads know they're going to have to work extremely hard to get out of this league, and they might end up being like more than a cut above the rest of the league, but we'll only get there with the effort that the lads are putting in, and like the management team getting the message across to the players that they have to work extremely hard, like regardless of what the budget is, and regardless of whether they're favourites in every game, or regardless of whether people just expect that we're going to go straight back up. They actually have to do it. They have to go out every week and work as hard as they can. And it's one of the things that like I'll be harping on about the whole season, but like the amount of effort they're going to have to put in to win these games that they have already put in to win games is excellent, and it's what you see in the celebrations after the game. Like they're all bought in. They're all like they all know the task. They all know that they could be legends of this town forever if we have one of the great seasons and we could canter to the league title or we could fight to the death for the league title. But these lads will be remembered in this town. They'll end up playing a Legends match at some point in the future. But they like the management team must have explained to them and must have told them. And again, like having Darrell and Keith Ward and even Nate Dervin that was here last year and Peter Cherry, the lads that know what this club is about and what this town is about. But they all seem to have bought in, and it's just been great to see it like this season. And hopefully it continues. But like I did get people that were giving about like celebrating like we won Champions League when we beat Kerry that night. I'm like, just do it.
Yeah,
just celebrate every game. We went ages without winning 2 games in a row or whatever it was like the last couple of seasons. Just like this is important. Every game is important, and we want to celebrate and we want to get behind the team and we want to, be all part of this push for promotion. So like, let's enjoy it,
And on that, though, we'll go straight into our man of the match. You create a nice wee segue for charity football and Legends match there as well. We get to that in a second. We're going to go straight to you as you're our guest for tonight, and you've been obviously watching religiously our podcast and the games. We're going to start with man of the match for yourself tonight. It could be obvious, but look, we'll plow through it anyway for somebody to get a pizza.
Well, like I know the format of this show. I've been around once or twice, so I know how this is going to work. But I also don't like to do what the British commentators do and just give man of the match to the player who scored the winning goal. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it to Leo Gaxa. Just
I might not be the only one though.
Match. Yeah, just for winning the match. Like that's there was good performances all over the place, but I don't even really know that there was too many proper standout performances amongst them. So I'd say the groundsman at the Belfield Bowl as a runner-up for getting the game on in horrendous circumstances, and then I'd give it to Leo Gaxa.
It is a magician's work to get a game on like that. Like I say, a Premier Division game probably doesn't go ahead, but look, that's what we're dealing with the First Division. Pingu, man of the match.
Yeah, I'm gonna copy our mates at the of the commentary team at UCD and try drag this out and come up with a real obscure reference to just sum up. So my man of the match is going to be Leo Gaxa, not just because of the goal, but the goal played a big factor in it. And I just want to use my obscure references. That goal and that match between the town and UCD reminded me of the first Jackass film when Johnny Knoxville went up against Butterbean in the shop. And Gaxa's goal was the knockout punch for me, and I feel like UCD came out, and they were a little bit comatose after that. But that's my obscure UCD reference for that. So don't is that a thumbs up? Or you just trying to cover your face?
I'm trying not to laugh out loud, but I'm also giving you a thumbs up at the same time.
No worries. But I also want to give a shout out as well to the Shedside Army, because again, it was referenced even by the commentators tonight. But I think, again, there's an atmosphere that's brewing both home and away, and I just think that's been very, very important. And again, when I was chatting to Kieran 2 weeks ago, he referenced that himself. He said he's kind of been blown away by the support. So a lot of that comes from the Shedside Army and the great stuff that they do. So just they get a lot of flack at times, but I know some of the lads, and they're good lads, and they want the best for the club. So shout out to them and keep doing what they're doing.
Absolutely, it's been like it's probably
that was another group of jackasses that I wanted to mention
for away game season. We said it early in the year, or probably at the end of last year as well. I'd say attendances for the away games this year will probably be as much as it's probably ever been in Premier Division football, because we're going to 3D and you're heading into Wexford Cove. You're going to see a massive amount of, I don't say massive, but I mean 100, 150 fans going every week, and probably even more now because of where the games are. So it's great to see absolutely a massive shout out to them. I think, lads, I'm just looking at the comments here. There is literally only one person who's in for a pizza at the minute. And I don't know how many pizzas Sean has had off us. We could double it and go for next week, but I think Donald will give you the option here. Will we double the pizza, or do we give it to Sean? We put you on the spot and give it to Sean Newbury.
I'm just off
Hangs in the
giving pizzas
balance.
away now. I'm probably even going to be here next week, so I'm not even going to see the double one. So I'll do it now.
And I've don't let you not winning that jersey have any bearing on this decision of this podcast, right?
Yeah.
So Sean,
Yeah.
well done. You've won yourself a pizza. We could give one for comments, but again, it's not like we've been littered with them either. But Pingu, look, the lads had mentioned, or Donald had mentioned, the Legends match. Some of these boys could be playing in a couple of years' time, and there's obviously a fantastic game coming up on Easter weekend involving yourselves. So just give us another quick plug on it. We'll probably mention this every week leading up to, because it's a hell of an event, and it's a real kind of poignant and fantastic situation to use putting this together in Oriel Park for everybody. We're really hoping to get a massive bumper crowd at it.
Yeah, appreciate that, Gally. Yeah, obviously it's a charity match. Team Charlie against Dundalk FC Legends. Team Charlie named after myself and Emily's first daughter, Charlie May, who passed away in 2020. We have a whole host of Dundalk legends. Kind of breaking news, I suppose, today, even though I mentioned that Mr. Hanks himself is playing. But 10 out of the starting 11 of Team Charlie are also including myself, are going to be dads who've experienced loss. So that's obviously, Team Charlie's kind of born out of friends of mine, but I wanted to make it back home something that's very important and utilise it to get. It's mostly people that I know, but there's also a couple of dads that I've never met before that actually asked could they play, and I couldn't refuse, and I refused them that opportunity to take part. So yeah, the 10 out of the starting 11 are going to be dads who've experienced loss themselves for Team Charlie. But from a Dundalk perspective, I mean, there's a whole host of legends. Mark Wigley's playing, Gary Rogers, Dame Massey, Stefan McKevitt's captain in the team.
Yeah, buddy.
Darius Kieran's going to manage the team along with Mark Rossiter. Don't want to give it away now just in case it doesn't happen, but there may be a World Cup playing, not Steve Staunton, but a World Cup playing former Irish international managing Team Charlie. He's double booked that day. I was texting with him this morning, but I'm hoping that we can announce that in the next few days. I'm just not 100% sure yet. So hopefully that'll come out. We've a raffle then after it. So the club have graciously allowed us to are opening the Lily White after the game. So we're going to do a raffle in there at about 4:00 on the Saturday. Prizes include signed Celtic jersey, an overnight stay at the Pillow Hotel in Ashbourne. There's 2 tickets to a gig in the Tree Arena that's been donated by Joey Malone and his partner Marie Byrne. We don't know what gig it's for yet. I think Donald actually might sing if he scores a goal. And then we also have kind of one of the big prizes, but it's actually going to end up costing whoever wins it money to fly out. But Chicago Fire have donated a premium suite for 16 people as a raffle prize, and I've got a big basement that could probably fit 8 people as well. But if anybody wins that, obviously there's an opportunity to come out and experience the last game of the season in October for free in a suite. So thanks to my own employers for that one as well. But yeah, we've a lot of prizes. I'd say all the proceeds from the event are going to Féileacán. There's no proceeds going to referees, to anything else. We really appreciate Dundalk Football Club for allowing us to use the facilities, and kind of the reason why we wanted to have the Lily White open is if they're letting us use the facilities for the match, we can give money back in another way to the club, because I know that they've fallen on hard times in the last couple of years. So there's the opportunity for that. And yeah, there's almost €5,000 raised now. I think we might even be over that, but it's free to come in. We'll obviously have donation boxes on the day for people who want to donate, but yeah, that's kind of it at the minute. Gally, you're going to be doing commentary. It's going to be streamed actually live on the Town End YouTube page. Yourself and Tom O'Connor. And we might try to get a couple of legends up when they're subbed out as well. I
thought you meant legend commentators. Whoa, wait a minute! Hey, wait a minute.
You have to be a legend to be called a legend commentator. What do you call it? But no, look, it makes for a great day, and I appreciate the help, obviously, of yourself and Chris on the day too, Gally, for what you're doing. So it's a an unofficial town end hosted event probably, but I don't know. Donald, obviously you're playing. I don't know if there's anything you want to add that I might have missed out on.
No, look, it's obviously, you know, for some of us, it's going to be an extremely emotional day, and it's the charity that we're raising the money for. I genuinely can't think of a more deserving charity than Féileacáin. I think anybody that knows who they are knows the work that they do, and then anybody who doesn't know, hopefully you never actually have to, you know, forget what they do. But they're and it's an incredible organization, and it should be a really fun day. Like I said, it's going to be emotional for a bunch of us, but it's going to be, you know, it'll be a fun day at the same time, and we'll enjoy ourselves and we'll have a laugh, and we'll try not to have our legs explode trying to kick a ball or have our ankles snap in half trying to turn a corner. So yeah, like it's going to be an exciting day, and I don't know how to express just how nervous I am that I'm going to end up having to get stretchered off 5 minutes in. I mean, if I get 5 minutes in, I'm like, I think I've done my job, then I'll jump up and commentate with the boys or something, because I'm like, yeah, that's me done. I've achieved all I need to achieve on the day. And if I score, not only will I sing, no, I'm not even going to say what the rest of that was. I'll just sing a song. I would say take the jersey off and swing around, but I can't do that because it's a very important jersey. But yeah, look, it's just obviously, if you can't go, you can still donate. You can still buy raffle tickets. You can still, you know, you can still help out. So I think that's the main thing. It's going to the game will be one thing, but if you can't go, it doesn't mean you can't help out or can't donate to the cause. So yeah, and like it's gonna be a fun day for everybody. So
probably not for us, Donald, if we're being honest. Like, it's not going to be a fun day. It's going to be a fun day for the Dundalk legends.
Look, if I make it through 10 minutes, man, it is going to be the greatest thing. I also yeah.
I just want to get fouled in the box. Someone to get fouled in the box, and I can take a penalty.
It's going to be like 10 of us lining up to take the penalty. If there is a penalty, like we're all going to
work together on it. Donald goes down in the box, off injured after 5 minutes. Pingu's on the penalty. You're laughing. We could try
a Robert Perez job from back in the day. Seen as obscure former players that we talked about today. But yeah, no, look, yeah, I think it's going to, like to Donald's point, it's going to be a fun day. It's Easter Saturday. There's obviously not a lot going on. I know a lot of the schoolboys, schoolgirls football, junior football is not happening. So it's a 1 o'clock kickoff. It'll be done by 3 o'clock. Get into the Lily White. You can watch. Hopefully there'll be football on the telly. You can watch the scores coming in and stuff as well. So yeah, just hoping it's going to be. Hopefully it'll be well attended. And look, if it's not, we've kind of hit our goal of what we wanted to raise anyway. But we'd always love to get more for the charity, and I know they would as well. And just want to give one last shout out to Tony Owens, is actually the founder of Féileacáin Fathers, so the football team that's associated with the charity. Tony is actually one of the dads that's coming down to play as well. So just want to give a shout out to that as well.
Brilliant. It's hopefully all you're looking for is a bit of weather, and hopefully it's a great occasion. It's a great match for the legends and for yourselves. And yeah, look, it's going to be fantastic. I can't talk too much about me and Tom's commentary, but look, that's if you're at the game, I don't know if you'll hear it, but you could put us on the wireless later on. But gentlemen, look, appreciate it. I have to go now and put on fake tan for confirmation tomorrow morning. Get myself ready, get the hair done. But look, appreciate you coming on, appreciate your time. It's a tough game to kind of even get a bit of a punditry on. Next week, Dundalk, all eyes on Oriel Park. I was going to say a top of the table clash. It technically is because Cover's still around there, but they're not technically second at the minute. But yeah, all eyes on Oriel Park next weekend for another match. And until then, go on.
My black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black and white scarf.